Dude, I'm so excited for this season. I can't say enough about, a lot of teams this year. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of reason to be excited for this college football season. So I'm with you. I'm really excited to get back here and get back to football.
Yeah, so September 4th, we have a loaded slate. My predictions for the Thursday and Friday night games, that's already up on the channel. So if you guys want to check that out, that is there. It'll be linked in the bottom. So we're going to be focusing on Saturday and then the rest of the week as well. We're going to go from time. So getting things started here at noon, Oklahoma and Tulane. This game will now be in Norman as Hurricane Ida moved it from New Orleans to Norman. Do you think opportunity in this game? I think their only opportunity was the home opportunity, but now it's gone. So how do you see Tulane faring in this game?
Well, Tulane typically has a nice high-powered offense. They can spread it out a little bit, but I don't think that it's going to be enough to. I don't think home field or non-home field advantage would be a major factor, considering they're going up against a Heisman favorite and a team that is expected to light it up this season. So I'm not expecting Tulane to do much, but I do expect them to put up around 20 points, a nice margin.
Yeah, I don't think Oklahoma's going to Pratt, dual threat quarterback. They have a nice running game. Cam Carroll, Devin Brumfield comes over from Utah. They like to run the ball, but they don't have much of a passing attack. Deuce Watts, he's a nice heavy hitter at receiver. But overall, it's not a great receiving game. And I love this Oklahoma front seven, the D-line specifically. I think they're going to come out and try to make a statement in this game. Tulane, I think this might be the best linebacking duo Oklahoma will see all season long. Nick Anderson and Dorian Williams. Those guys both do a lot of things very well. But overall, Tulane was torched in the secondary last year. And again, I think the defense is going to look to make a statement. It's going to bottle up the Tulane running game. I see Oklahoma pulling away 52-14 in this one. What is your score? Do you think Oklahoma will cover that 20-point spread?
Yeah, I've got them at 45-20. So I've got OU with a 25-point win. Like I said, I see Tulane around 20. I think their offense is going to be pretty good. I'm a fan of Michael Pratt, although their passing game might not be too terribly efficient. 20 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, I thought was a pretty solid stat line last season.
He also ran for, I think, 600 or so yards. I know he had 8 touchdowns or something in that area.
He's an athlete, fun to watch.
Yep, sure is. But this is going to be too tall of a task to climb here. Second thing on their mind heading into the weekend. So,
right. They may not be, exactly focused, and I can't blame them. And you go ahead, Dalton. I know exactly what you're about to say.
Yeah, our hearts go out to all the people in New Orleans. There's such that game cannot be played in New Orleans. But still, we're going to go and live our lives. We're going to pray for all those people involved, and hopefully everything's
Absolutely.
Moving to the next game on the slate, Penn State and Wisconsin. What a treat it is to have this one open up the year. Both of these teams, though, they struggled mightily offensively last year, really good defensively. I want to go ahead and let you hear what your thoughts are before I go ahead. I feel like I have the perfect analysis for this game. So you can go ahead and break it down, and I'll add on.
Mine's kind of brief. I think there's going to be a nice blend of offense for Wisconsin. I think this year they're going to get a little bit more of a steady run game. Last year they seem to have taken a step back in their run game, rightfully so, with the loss of Jonathan Taylor the year before. But I think Jalen Berger is going to be a really solid running back for Wisconsin, and he'll step into the starting role and take over a little bit more there. And then, of course, they've got Graham Mertz, who's a really highly touted quarterback who had a solid year last year. And then if you want to flip sides to Penn State, I'm looking to see their rushing attack. I think Noah Cain and Devin Ford, not to mention Kevon Lee. It's a very good, solid rushing attack, and I think that's going to make up for a really good game in the Big Ten.
Yeah, so Mertz, he had that 95% completion rate in his first ever game, and then he didn't complete over 60% once the rest of the year. He just struggled. It was as simple as that. I think this is going to be an all-around slugfest. It's, PSU, they're going to want to run the ball. As you just mentioned, 3 running backs. So they have another one, a great quadricept of backs. John Levet comes over from Baylor. So they're very deep at running back. They're going to need balance, though, to win. They're not going to be able to get, if they don't have balance, I feel like that's their biggest problem. Sean Clifford's not consistent enough with the passing attack. They're going to want to run the ball. And that's just not going to happen against Wisconsin. I think Nick Herbing, Noah Burks, they're going to be great in outside containment. And then Sanborn and Leo Chanel in the middle. They're going to be cleaning it up. So I think Penn State's going to be struggling to run the ball. Those running backs are going to have to make plays on their own because those gaps are going to be clogged. I do think Jahan Dotson, he's going to have to make plays downfield. Not a lot's going to be open during center, but down on the sidelines, fades, streaks, stuff that's going to be in tight coverage. he's going to have to make plays on those jump balls with tight coverage, which I think he's going to win those 50-50 balls. I don't think he'll win all of them, though, but they're certainly going to need him to do that because their passing attack, I don't expect it to really get going in this game. I do think Wisconsin's going to come up with some short fields, which is going to help their offense out because, as I said, their offense was not great last year. When Berger was at running back, though, they actually did pretty solid. When he was not, well, they weren't very good at all at running the ball. So I love this offensive line.
I can't. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I can't recall the Wisconsin running back who split reps with Berger last year. But I mean, I'm with you on there.
Groshek.
I mean, I watched. Yeah, Proshek. I watched. It was Proshek or Groshek, and then they had another guy. They rotated 2 or 3 guys last year, and I watched I have a buddy who's a Wisconsin fan, so I watched quite a bit of their games. And I'm with you. I just when Jalen Berger was in the game, it seemed like the run game was a lot more efficient, and that's what I'm kind of expecting to see this year is Wisconsin. I mean, it's about as normal as a year can get, with still COVID. And I think this year Berger's going to take over the starting role, and we'll see a lot more of an efficient run offense from Wisconsin.
Yeah, in the middle of the year, he had 3 straight games of 87-plus yards, very efficient stuff. He was unhealthy most of the year. But back to what I was saying, I think the tackles, Tyler Beach, Logan Bruss, they're going to hold up very effectively. I think Jake Ferguson will be there. I don't think Mertz is going to have a great game by any means. But I think Ferguson will be there to move those chains. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively. And like I said, I think a few short fields are going to help them. Penn State had that problem turning the ball over last year. That's why they started 0-5. They had 13 turnovers over those 5 games. That was their biggest problem. But again, I don't see a way Penn State actually wins this game, having to travel to Madison. I think their best players, Jaquan Brisker is going to make an impact at safety, but Tariq Castro-Field, he's not going to have an opportunity to make plays on the ball. I just don't see them going downfield much. I think they're going to be able to run the ball pretty solidly. So that's kind of my analysis on the game. I feel like it's pretty spot on. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen because I just think this is going to be a complete slugfest. You're not going to see much from the passing attacks, and then one rushing attack's really not going to be able to get going like they want to. So I have Wisconsin 21-13. Are you on par with that, or do you think Penn State's going to win this game?
No, I think Wisconsin's going to win, although I do have a larger margin of victory. I have 38-23 for Wisconsin. Yeah, I think Wisconsin's actually going to have a little bit more offensive success with Graham Mertz, a little bit more. I think Mertz in the second year starting, he can kind of move past the inconsistency issues. Hopefully start out, great like you did, another 90% completion rate. But hopefully he can, keep that up above 65 throughout the rest of the season. Just keep consistency.
Yeah, I'd be heavily shocked if any team scores over any of those margins. But it might happen week 1. You never know. Just what I saw last year, I don't see
Yeah, that's fair.
Moving to our next game, Stanford, Kansas State in Arlington on FS1. I think this is going to be a great game. A lot of points are expected from me. I think Stanford's pretty happy with their quarterback room. Tanner McKee, Jack West. Very, very good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Every place the former 3rd-round pick, Davis Mills. Austin Jones, a running back. Very efficient running back. I think Stanford, the last year, they're actually really good up front. They're going to want to get more physical, back to the old days. David Shaw's not going to go another year without this offensive line being top-notch. I think they're going to be great, and this game's a good way in starting to go in. To get that going. Miles Hinton is a guy I'm looking for at right tackle. I think a big X factor is White Huber and Drew Wiley. They're both gone from the defensive front for Kansas State. They have some respectable pass rushers in Bronson Massey and Khalil Duke, but I don't really feel like I can trust this rush defense. Like, those guys are good at run defenders, but I don't really know what they're made of as run defenders in the trenches, and I feel like that's a big edge for Stanford.
Yeah, I think the one big deal with Stanford is figuring out their quarterback situation, flipping to the offense. Like I'm on par with what you said. I think Tanner McKee, he's coming back from his mission trip. So this will be his first year. I believe this is his first year playing actual college football. And then they have Jack West, who's been there. So I think they have a little good competition right there. And as far as right now of us recording this podcast, Stanford has not announced a starting quarterback. So that's why we're saying Tanner McKee or Jack West. But Stanford, they have a high-powered offense, and I think whoever is the starter, they're going to want to air it out.
Now, it's not all bad, because Stanford defense, they're not really great. They don't have much depth at cornerback. Their defensive line's not exactly great. They couldn't sack anybody last year, couldn't exactly stop the run. There's no depth at receiver for Kansas State either, so I'm not really sure who that's better for. There's no depth at for the passing game on either side, I guess.
Well, you just said it, and I think that leads into my key player for Kansas State. And you said it with the lack of run game, and that's going to really pose a difficult task for Stanford because they have one of the bright young stars in Deuce Vaughn to go up against. And I think Deuce Vaughn is going to do some damage to Stanford.
Yeah, I think he's going to make plays in the open field. Just the Stanford defense, the entire football team has not been as typically as we're used to seeing. I think their offense will get a little bit more back to that, but their defense is a lot of question marks. Thomas Booker's there at defensive end. I think he'll have a big game. But other than that, I'm really not sure what to feel about this defense. I think Vaughn will definitely cut him up in the open field. You saw Skylar Thompson last year. He's always been a little iffy.
Mm-hmm.
He can destroy you with his legs and his arm, though, at times. Remember against Oklahoma last year, he was just left and right, just hitting guys all over the place. I think you'll see a similar game like that from him against Stanford. I think we're in for a shootout. I like Stanford to take this one, though, with 38-34, but it's honestly a toss-up.
Yeah, I've got Stanford 24-21, so I've got them in a close one.
Yeah, I think in Arlington at noon. It's going to be a great game. Can't wait to watch this one. Moving to the 3:30 slate, kicking things off. Actually, before we jump into that, a few more games at noon I'd like to touch on. Stanford. Army and Georgia State. That's a 2.5-point spread. For some reason, I feel like kind of being over this one. Cornelius Brown at Georgia State's a really good quarterback. But Army's been one of the top programs, honestly. One of the top, more underrated programs, I guess you could say. They play really stout defense, disciplined offense. Georgia State's not really that potent on defense. I think Army is going to run away with this game. How do you feel that one? I wanted to touch on it because the bookmakers have it so close.
I'm with you. Army typically has a solid team in the group of five, and I think that Army, their defense will be too much, and I think they'll go away with the dub.
And then the final game I'll touch on, Western Michigan travels to Michigan. This will be interesting. Caleb Elby, he's a really good quarterback. They don't have a lot of depth at receiver. They got some weapons, though. I think it's going to be a big challenge for this Michigan secondary. I feel like this game could probably disappoint some fans because I think Michigan State could probably make it closer than most people expect. How do you feel? Do you see their upside potential here? Or do you see Michigan having no issues here?
Well, has Michigan announced their starting quarterback? Is it going to be J.J. McCarthy? Cade McNamara. Okay. So I think I wasn't sure exactly who their QB was, but I think either way, I think Michigan's just going to go away with it. I mean, it's Michigan. They're very inconsistent, probably one of the past 5 years. But I think Michigan, I mean, it's Western Michigan or Michigan State, so I think they'll go up against them and go against them fine and just go out with a dub.
Yeah, Western Michigan, I just wanted to touch on it because Caleb Elby is one of my top 30 quarterbacks in all the country. He's a really good ball player. People to look out for. Moving to the mid-afternoon slate, Alabama and Miami meet in Atlanta. I did my preview for this game, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. So I'm going to go ahead and steal the thunder real quick, then I'll let you speak. Based on what I think is going to happen. I think Miami, they're going to have to generate pressure on the inside. Nesta Jade Silvera and Jonathan Ford, whoever can get involved, they're going to need to force Bryce Young out of the pocket to make some plays. I feel like they got the athleticism in the secondary to prevent him from picking up chunky yardages, even though he's incredibly athletic. I feel like regardless, though, they're going to have to do that consistently. I think they'll have a couple of good plays doing that, but they're not going to be able to do it the whole game long, especially when Alabama's going to be running the ball as good as they are. I think the rotation of backs is going to be too much for the Canes to overcome because they don't have great depth up front.
I agree.
I think Brian Robinson's going to run for 150 plus. I think they're going to do pretty solid against the pass. I think the biggest key for them is they need to tackle in space on underneath routes exceptional.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
If they allow these athletes to get in space, it's really anybody that plays Bama, but Miami especially, they need to tackle these guys underneath. They cannot let these athletes get in space and kill you. Because if you start moving up, they're going to start going downfield, and it's just not going to be good. And then the last thing I'll touch on, Miami's running game. For one, Derek King, you can beat anybody in the nation. We have a player as dynamic as him. But when you're one-dimensional offensively, you're going to have a quarterback who make any throw on the field. I just do not feel like King can do that. They've only had 2 200-plus rushing yard games in the last 21 games. Only 2 out of the last 21 they've had 200-plus in. They just cannot run the ball very effectively whatsoever. Mm-hmm. King has the abilities to carry him. I just don't feel like he's going to be able to make the throws against this type of secondary to carry him to win it. I got Alabama 45-20. Do you think that anything that I said there's a little too far-fetched, or do you see a similar outcome?
I think this game, it's a very interesting. I think it's probably one of the more interesting matchups because Miami in season openers against proven or just decent teams has come out and absolutely disappointed. And in this game, I sense that there is a different Miami team, that this team is more hungry, and I think that there's more of a chance for them to go further than recent years past. And I don't think I say all that to say this. I still have Bama winning, but my expectations for Miami is to just come out and compete, because there's been a lot of games where they come out and they just don't look like they want to be there. And I think if they – yeah, you know, and I think this game has the exact potential to go the exact same way as the North Carolina game because of the Alabama run attack. That's actually my X factor here is the Alabama running back room versus the Miami front seven, because Miami's front seven had a lot of fits last year, along with their secondary giving up. You know, you said to yourself, missing open field tackles, giving up chunk yardage. Those are issues that Bama will smell blood in the water and take advantage of if Miami finds themselves in those scenarios. I have Bama 44, Miami 31. That may be a little bit more optimistic from a Miami standpoint. It's not a knock on Bama at all. I think Miami's got a pretty good team this year, but I think Bama's still form offensively, and so I got Bama 44, Miami 31.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Miami led at the end of the first quarter, though. I think Booba Bolden, he's going to come with a lot of energy on defense. I think they'll make some plays early, both sides. But I seen USC a couple years ago lead 3-0 at the end of the quarter and lost 52-6. So whatever happens in the first quarter, I think Miami will probably be. I wouldn't be shocked if they're leading. Not a big deal if they are or not. But I think they're going to bring some energy early. But I don't know if they can sustain it for 60 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just curious if how Bryce Young's going to react, because I mean, if they give Bryce Young all the time in the world, then they're going to make him look like the Heisman quarterback that he is hyped up to be. I mean, a lot of people have him as a Heisman guy, maybe not this year, but eventually in his career. And let's just say this: I wouldn't think Miami wants to come out and make him the Heisman leader week one. So I think they really need to cause pressure on him. But I think the one area for Alabama that they're not going to be able to stop is the run game. I think they might have a little success through the air in terms of stopping Bryce Young, but I think in terms of his ability, Robinson's ability, and then Trey Sanders and Jace McClellan, there's just too much strength, and of course in the offensive line and in the running back room.
The last thing I'll ask you, do you think Manny Diaz will blitz him on 3rd and 10 and longer, or do you think they're going to sit back?
Buddy, don't get me started. if he does, I'm going to start calling for a new defensive coordinator again.
Next game. Iowa and Indiana. The Hoosiers traveled to Kinnick Stadium. A lot of people are giving me a lot of stuff for ranking Indiana at number 10. And I still believe they are a very good football team, but I think they're kind of outmatched here traveling to Kinnick week one. One-dimensional offensively, and then they play an Iowa secondary that ranked second last year in 30-plus pass yards plays allowed. Veterans and Riley Moss, Matt Hankins on the outside, Jack Horner. These guys just don't allow big plays, and they know this team cannot run the football. Their offensive line is not very good at all either. Michael Penix has a lot of receivers. Those guys can really do some damage. But again, I think this is just a terrible matchup for their passing attack. And then again, on the other side, another bad matchup. Their defensive line got gashed around last year by the heavyweights. I think Tyler Goodson and the Hawkeyes are going to run for 200+. The Hoosiers have a good defense. Michael McFadden, T1 Mullen, a few of those guys to mention. So they can stick around in this game. Iowa's not going to score a lot of points. I see them winning 24-14. I just think they're just so outmatched in the two weakest categories of their offense. And so I think that Indiana's going to have a hard time winning this game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I got a close one. Once again, kind of a higher margin. I got Indiana 38, Iowa 31. I also think that the Iowa offense will have a pretty good show on the ground with Tyler Goodson. That's just part of what Iowa likes to do. They like to run the ball. I think they'll run it pretty effectively against Indiana.
Yeah, I'm not going to freak out by that score prediction, because if they're running the ball that well and then Penix and the receivers come out and just blow the secondary apart, which I think is certainly possible for they have in the receiving group. And this could be certainly a high-scoring game. Penix is really good under pressure. Remember, watch the Ohio State film. He had guys in his face every single play, and he still threw for 500 yards. So Penix is really good under pressure, very good arm strength. They have weapons. So just looking at it on paper, though, kind of looking at it from a film standpoint, it's just a very bad matchup for the Hoosiers, at least in week one, because they're just not really good in the trenches. Hold them back this year, but they can always get better. But week one, it's too hard to assume how much better someone's gotten. So 24-14 is my pick. Next, we move to a pretty interesting one, West Virginia and Maryland. Drayshawn Miller and Tyke Smith, they're gone from the number one pass defense last year, which was the Mountaineers. Probably a lot of people probably didn't know that, but these guys did not allow much through the air. So they should take a step back. But I think Alonzo Addy, Sean Mahone, those guys in the secondary, I think they're going to be able to keep Tagovailoa and this high-flying passing attack in check. So how do you feel? Do you think that's on par, or do you think the Terrapins are just going to run away with it through the air?
No, I don't think that's far fetched. I've got a close win here for West Virginia, and I think it's going to be honestly led by Letty Brown at running back. I think Letty Brown's going to be pretty solid on the ground, and I think we'll kind of see a difference between the two. Maryland's obviously going to get it done a little bit more in the air. They have that ability, and I think West Virginia is going to get it done on the ground. But I got West Virginia coming out 37-34.
Yeah, Letty Brown against the 115th ranked run defense. I really like the matchup West Virginia has here. They're pretty stout up front. I like what they have. I think Dante Stills and Akeem Mesidor, two very impressive defensive tackles. I think they're going to be able to disrupt some pressure as well. So I'm not sure how consistent, but Dante Stills is a stud. So they're going to certainly clog up that running game. I think Tagovailoa is going to be under pressure at times. They have two great receivers over Kim Jarrett, Dante Demas, and then Jashawn Jones are his great receivers. I like Maryland. Again, another matchup that doesn't really seem to favor them. I could be wrong, though. Just from a standpoint of how much they get back from their passing defense, I think they're going to be able to weather the storm quite well. I still see 250 yards, maybe 300 yards for Maryland through the air, but I don't see too many big plays. So I have West Virginia 27-20. I think this is going to be another good game.
Okay.
Moving to Louisiana, Lafayette, and Texas. The Raging Cajuns are a trendy pick to win this game. Are you going with the trend, or are you going with the Longhorns?
I'm going with the Horns.
Yeah, me too. The Louisiana Lafayette, though, let's pay some respect to them. Returning production is insane. 90+%. His Billy Napier has a lot to work with. Really good offensive line, too. Cyrus Torrance is a potential first, second-round draft pick. He's got a big matchup of Keandre Coburn up the middle. Chris Smith takes over at running back. But I think Texas has a pretty big edge in the secondary. Levi Lewis in the passing attack from the Cajuns took a big step back last year. And outside of Kyron Lacey, I don't really think they have guys who can win one-on-one matchups. A lot of veterans in the Longhorns secondary. You look at B.J. Foster, Deshaun Jameson, Josh Thompson. I think they just have a big edge right here. Do you see the same thing, or do you think Texas maybe might give up some big plays for the year?
I think just because it's Texas, they'll probably give up one or two. I think that this is going to be a game where their defense is going to kind of try to find, obviously it's week one, so they're not going to have all the kinks and everything worked out. But I think this is going to be a kind of a high scoring margin. But I still have Texas coming away. I got them 44-30 against Louisiana.
Yeah, safety Braylon Trahan, he's one of the nation's best at position for the Raging Cajuns. But something that a lot of people are overlooking is the ULL was not great against the run last year. They gave up over 5 yards per carry last year. I think they're almost 90th in yards per game allowed. That's not really that's not a good recipe when you're facing Bijan Robinson, Roschon Johnson.
Not good at all.
People are just going, oh, Texas, they're going to lose because the Cajuns are good and they won last year. Well, they're not really good in the trenches in terms of stopping the run. They're facing these two backs. It's not going to be easy. I think they're going to combine for 200+ yards. Hudson Card will get the start. I think you might see some Casey Thompson regardless. Both are dual threats. Both are athletic. I think they're going to run the ball. Like I said, 200+ yards. I think that's going to cause that secondary to creep up in the box a little bit. Xavier Worthy or Jordan Whittington, one of those big hitters is going to make some plays downfield. So I see Texas 34-24. I can't recall what your score was, but do you think that's an accurate analysis on what might happen to this defense?
Yeah, I think that Louisiana, they are a good team, and I think they're going to put up some numbers. I just think that you got to trust Texas's offensive abilities, and I think that it's going to be too much for Louisiana. So, like I said, I've got Texas 44-30 in this one.
As we talked about earlier in the year, their defense wasn't too bad last year. It's actually a pretty respectable unit. I think now with the new defensive coordinator, they're going to want to make a strong stand in week one. The trendy pick, I'm not going with it. I see Texas winning this game. As noted, I think it's a 9.5-point spread, and I picked them to win by 10. So some betting advice if you'd like that. USC, they play San Jose State. The Trojans love to stumble out the gates. I'm not really sure why. And they play another good team in week one, Mountain West champions in San Jose State. I think Cade Hall, defensive end, he's going to make some plays. But overall, this is a big challenge for the SC defense. They're playing a highly explosive passing attack. Charles Ross, Derek Deasy, some good weapons for Nick Starkel. This secondary, at times, it's very inconsistent. So the door's kind of open there for San Jose State. Is it not, or do you think USC should win this with ease?
I think USC should win this with ease, but I mean, just that's a similarity between USC and Miami. They're teams that are trying to find their way back to stardom, but consistently struggle in their season openers. I think USC should win it easily. I don't know if that will be the case though, because if history repeats itself, USC could find themselves in trouble.
Yeah, I have them winning 42-21, but, again, they like to stumble out the gates. I wouldn't be shocked if you see a close game here. What's your score prediction on this game?
I've got them 45-17, so I've got a little bit more. I've been going with the wider margins of victory on the week one, I can tell.
Yeah, if USC plays the way they're supposed to, that would certainly be the score. That game will be at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Texas and Louisiana is at 4:30, if I did not specify that already. Also at 4:30, the number 7 ranked Iowa State host Northern Iowa, that is. Remember, 2 years ago, NIU took them to overtime, did they not? Do you see something similar happening, or do you think Matt Campbell's group's going to be prepared this time? They should knock them out the water.
Man, I think you really got me. It was either you or another guy that really got me on the Iowa State hype train, so I don't think so. I think Iowa State's going to come out and they're going to be out for blood this season.
Yeah, it might have been me. I was really hyping them up a lot. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was.
Moving to the nightcap, we'll save Georgia and Clemson for last, because that is the big game of the weekend. Looking at LSU and UCLA, UCLA looked pretty good running the ball last week. Zach Charbonnet, Britton Brown, really good running the ball. DTR didn't look good throwing the ball. I don't know if I'm really too concerned about it. I think this is a fun game. I haven't did too much digging on this one, but what are your thoughts? How do you think this UCLA offense is going to look against a new look LSU defense that is loaded with talent?
I'm kind of the same way with you. I don't think it really required much. I mean, seeing Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I hate that he's struggling. He really needs to get it in gear. I don't know. It could just be a little coaching issues because, I mean, Dorian Thompson-Robinson just has too much talent to, not perform highly and lead UCLA to a better season. I got LSU 33, UCLA 10. I don't think they're really going to give the LSU any fits. I think LSU will have honestly more issues offensively than defensively. That's kind of my prediction there.
Oh, that's bold, only 10 points, because they look pretty good against Hawaii. I was kind of impressed by their secondary. I expected Chevin Cordero maybe to hit some big plays over the top. That never happened. Their secondary was absolutely gashed last year, where they like 114th in pass defense. So a lot of seniors, you should expect a lot of improvement. A lot of people, including Kirk Herbstreit, are expecting this team to be a very underrated one. So that's an interesting prediction. But I'm kind of on par with you a little bit, because I think LSU, they're going to be able to stop the run. They have some big bodies in Glenn Logan, Neil Farrell in the middle. They're going to have guys like B.J. Ojolari and Ali Gay to come off the edge. And if they're stopping the run, the secondary is going to have plenty of opportunities. Derek Stingley, Elias Ricks. So I think that's all LSU really needs to do, is just clog up the run. That's going to be kind of the game plan all year, I think, on defense. Just let your corners and the whole secondary. I think the whole secondary is going to be much better. I love what they have at safety. Jay Ward is one of those players. I'm kind of with you. I haven't really come up with a score yet, but I do think Max Johnson will make some plays downfield. I think Davis Price and Emory, they're going to run for around 120 to 150. And at first I was leaning to think this was going to be a close game, but after hearing your prediction and with my own analysis, I kind of feel like they could pull away in this one. I'm going to go 31-17. I think we're going to see a close first half, or at least 3 quarters of LSU late. I think the ball skills in their secondary is just going to prevail eventually. I agree. Moving to another one's pretty interesting. BYU and Arizona. A lot of people, Arizona's a 12-point underdog. People are thinking they can cover this game. I really don't feel that way. They'll meet up in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. I love the Cougars. I think they're too strong, too big. Jaron Hall is a really good quarterback. Romney as well. I think we're going to see both of them probably play in this game. Do you think Arizona can compete in this one, or do you think they're going to have some troubles? I think they'll have their troubles. I think BYU, you said it, Jaron Hall, he's going to be a really solid quarterback, backing up Zach Wilson from last year. And I think they have a really solid tight end. They have one of the best tight ends in college, or one of the best emerging tight ends in college football, and Isaac Rex. So I think that he's going to be a solid weapon for BYU. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked people are picking Arizona to compete in this game. I just don't see it at all. Nathan, when we did our Pac-12 predictions, has them going 2-10. Pretty good analysis with this team. 3 guys competing for quarterback. They have 2 good receivers, Barry Hill and Curry. But other than that, the defense is not good. The offense is not good outside of those receivers. A lot of uncertainty. I think Jed Fish was the right hire here, but I don't see how they cover this 12-point spread, other than maybe BYU stumbling out the gates. They're pretty outmatched in this one. I'm going to go BYU 42-17.
Oh goodness. Okay, so you've got a nice little spread right there. I've got BYU 30, Arizona 17.
Yeah, before we get to the big game of the weekend, Nevada and California. Nevada, another very trendy pick. I understand why. Carson Strong rising up draft boards. I feel like a lot of people started talking about him after I did. Remember when we did our top 10 rankings all the way back in the summer? The hype kind
Yeah.
of picked up after that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
take credit for it, but we noticed it. We noticed it for sure. Cole Turner, phenomenal tight end. Romeo Dubs, this guy is a heck of a playmaker receiver, very shifty. A name a lot of people are going to learn at the end of the year. But I think they're kind of at a mismatch here. This Cal secondary is not to be played with. They're really good. Josh Drayton is one of the best press corners in the conference. They also have a very good safety duo in seniors, Daniel Scott, Elijah Hicks. And again, I like Cameron Good. I like Cameron Good and Keanu Dang at linebacker. These guys are really good. Cam Good is a really phenomenal producer over I think the last 2 or 3 years at Cal. He's been a phenomenal playmaker for them. I don't know where their offense is going to come from, so don't ask, but I think their defense has the edge here by far. And since Nevada's going to be a trendy pick, that's furthermore reason I'm going to pick Cal to win this game.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with Nevada. I'm going Nevada 30-24 over Cal, so kind of close one there. I think Carson Strong's really going to come out this year and make his name known a lot more. I don't know if it'll be enough for a Heisman, any Heisman-worthy award or any quarterback award, but I think Carson Strong's going to come out this year and make his name known.
Yeah, I do think Nevada does win the Mountain West, so don't get me wrong. I just think the secondary here, it's going to have the edge. I said I don't know where their offense is going to come from. Keota Crawford, I think he's going to see 10-plus receptions every single week this year. He's that good of a pass catcher, and they're going to need him that much. Dom Peterson up in the middle, he's going to be a good disruptor for Nevada. They don't have a bad defense. I do think Cal can establish some run. I think Garbers, remember, he's a gamer. They were 4-0. I think it was 2019 in his first 4 games. And then he went down with injury. Struggled with health. Every game he played in, they won, though. He's pretty consistent. He's not going to wow you with numbers or anything like that. I do think Garbers will make enough plays in this game for Cal. 26-21, Cal over Nevada. One of the games I'm really interested to watch this weekend to see if my analysis is on par. I'm really excited to see if this Cal defense can deliver. And moving to the final game on the slate, prime time in Charlotte, we have the Clemson Tigers. We have the Georgia Bulldogs. You know, all summer long I've been trying to find who has the keys, who has the edge in this game. I don't really have one. I think a big advantage in this game is Georgia, their interior defense against the interior offensive line for Clemson. And I think the Tigers have a bit of a weakness there. Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, they've led the number 1 ranked rush defense each of the last 2 years. That's the really only edge I see in this game. Georgia's really beat up a receiver. Tyke Smith will be out for this game as well. Both teams have youthful secondaries. I'm just going to go with Clemson. I think they're all around front seven. Their defensive line is just going to wreak too much havoc. Georgia will as well, but I think Clemson's going to make more plays in space than Georgia will. I have them winning this game 34-24. What's kind of your analysis? Because I feel like I'm kind of grasping at straws here.
No, you're pretty close. I've got Georgia 34, Clemson 40, so I've got a higher scoring game. But I also think that in terms of the Georgia offense, I think they'll struggle a little bit. They're going to have to rely a little bit more on their run game, which is going to kind of make Clemson have to be a little bit more one-dimensional, load the box defensively. And I think that can pose problems for their young secondary if, with an experienced quarterback like JT Daniels, he has that ability to get the ball, push the ball far downfield and make defensive backs make mistakes. So I think that's one advantage that they have over Clemson. But I do think Clemson returning Justin Ross, I actually have him as my X factor for the Clemson offense. I'm really looking to see how he can return and see DJ Uiagalelei in his starting debut.
Yeah, Clemson, they have more veterans, I guess you could say, in their secondary. They're both pretty youthful. Georgia, incredibly youthful. They have a lot of new guys that are going to be pushing in there. These Clemson guys, they're familiar there. They just have to work on communication a bit. Mm-hmm. They still have a sour taste in their mouth from that Ohio State game. I think they're going to come out this year blasting people. But like you said, loading the box, they're going to likely going to have to lean on younger guys to make plays in the receiving group. And I think they will probably be swallowed up in the run game as well. And like I said, because James Cook's a really good player, but they don't like to give him touches for some reason. I think Will Shipley, Lynn J. Dixon, they have the guys who can make some plays in space and on the edge. They're going to find a way to get that happen. It's going to kind of free things up a little bit more for the receivers. It's kind of a hard game to break down in week 1. It'd be easier to break down if it's week 4, week 5, to see what these teams are made of. Right. So far, that's what I'm going with. Georgia being beat up, though, just unfortunate for week 1. incredibly struggling with health, but I have Clemson on top, and so do you.
I think Pickens and Burton being out, that just makes all the difference in the world, because I mean that immediately made Georgia go from arguably the best receiving core in the SEC to not a bottom one, but in the mid tiers, just because those guys are out.
Yeah. Before we wrap things up, is there anyone on the slate you think you can definitely say is going to get upset in this slate?
You know, I don't know. I would like to talk about Florida State, Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, that's right. Up on Sunday. Go ahead.
I think that one could. I'll be honest, I haven't done complete research on Notre Dame, and I know what Florida State is capable of. I'd say it's a potential trap game, and it's kind of because of McKenzie Milton, because Florida State has weapons. You know, they have solid offensive weapons. I say solid. I don't think they're great. Because FSU has been at the bottom. They've been at their bottom for the past few years. I don't know if it's going to be enough to overcome Notre Dame. That's kind of more of a what if scenario, because I actually have Notre Dame winning 40-24 against FSU.
Yeah, Ontario Wilson, Keyshawn Hilton, they have some weapons. Their defense is incredibly youthful. It's all first and second year guys. There might be a couple juniors and seniors in there, but I didn't see any. I haven't looked at the depth chart in a couple weeks, but very youthful defense. They're playing people are worried about the Notre Dame offensive line. I don't see why. They added Kane Madden from Marshall. 3 of the new starters have been in the program for an extended period of time. They also added a highly ranked freshman in Blake Fisher, our left tackle. I think they're going to run the ball with ease. Top running back duo in all of college football, Chris Tyree and Kyron Williams. They're going to be causing fits for Florida State. I think McKenzie Milton, though, he's going to be the X factor all around. I think if he can uplift this offense, then they could.
I'd love to see McKenzie come out and play well. Because this is his first ball. This is his first game back from his horrific leg injury. And I'd say I'm not the biggest FSU fan, but I would love to see McKenzie Milton come back and be one of the top stories of college football this season. That would really make my heart warm.
Yeah, I think everybody would. But I think all around the game's going to be on his shoulders because Florida State, very youthful defense is noted. Offensive line still getting there. Notre Dame, they're just too strong up front. They're going to run the ball with ease. Jack Cohen, perfect offense for him. If they can run the ball, it gets play action going. They also have pretty solid defense. Drew White is back. Kyle Hamilton, one of the top safeties in college football. Night game in Tallahassee, though, never easy. I think we could see this one close for a bit. Notre Dame should win. And the final game on the slate, Monday, Labor Day, Ole Miss, Louisville, in Atlanta. For some reason, Ole Miss is like a 9-point favorite in this game. They still don't have a defense. I've not been a fan of anyone who's had Ole Miss in the top 25. Do you understand that ranking, or are you agreeing with me? It's kind of a little far-fetched. I
think it's far-fetched, but if we look at Ole Miss and their offensive firepower, I think that's probably why they're top 25. It's just one of those teams with, Ole Miss is probably the most Big 12 SEC team there is this season. That's how I'd say it. No defense with a stout offense that's going to put up numbers, and I think that's probably why they're inside the top 25.
Yeah, you have people ranking them at 9-3. I'm just on Instagram, their football pages. I'm just not really understanding it.
I don't know about 9-3. I'm not expecting Ole Miss to, come out and win a lot of games.
Yeah, and anything I say, they just kind of seem to dismiss. But it is what it is. Love to debate in college football. I think their defense doesn't have a great matchup though against Louisville. Louisville has some question marks at running back and receiver. They're athletes, but Mikael Cunningham really fits the Satterfield system well. I think they could certainly come out on top of this one. I think they'll do more than cover. I think they could probably win this game, but because Catrell Clark at corner, I think he's going to probably shadow whoever gets the nod at number one receiver there. What are your predictions? I'm kind of back and forth on this game. What is your prediction for this one?
I'm going to go Ole Miss 31, Louisville 20.
Yeah, Jerry and Ely, another guy we didn't mention. I think they just have a little bit too much firepower for Louisville to overcome. But they've gotten a lot better on defense under Satterfield, let's say that. But, yeah, I think Ole Miss 34-28. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game on Monday night. Can't wait to watch this one. Hopefully people can entertain it. And maybe we'll find out if that defense is capable of taking them to 9-3. I don't see it. They did a transfer from Maryland, DJ Durkin at linebacker. I think his name's Campbell. Can't remember off the top of my head, but they added a nice linebacker from Maryland. Follows Durkin over from his tenure. So they got some guys maybe that can help resurge in this defense, but I just don't see it, at least in 2021.
Yeah, they've still got a little while to go. I think Ole Miss can put up the numbers and the yards, but the wins, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and again, this isn't This isn't exactly the easiest secondary to play. I guess it's kind of a mid-tier one. So if Matt Corral turns it over 6 times again, they will lose this game. I'll just go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to wrap things up. Do you think anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think we've got a great week 1 slate, and I honestly can't wait till Saturday. I wish we could fast forward right now. Honestly, it's really exciting, and I think this football season's just got so much hype. I can't wait for it, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun Saturday. The first few weeks, usually to find out what teams are made of, a lot of teams play FCS schools and that too. So after the first few weeks, we're going to start getting into the grittiness of conference play, and I can't wait. So that's going to wrap things up for us today, guys. Deep slate. If you have any questions on other games we didn't mention, leave it in the comments. We'll do our best to respond. Make sure you leave a subscription. Rowdy, thank you for joining me. I think that'll be all for today.
Thank you for having me, man. Have a great day.
Yes, sir.